and I am in the Honors PACE program. I really enjoy school, and some of my favorite things there are art, choir, LA, and going to the library. I get to do the announcements at school a couple of times a month, which is pretty neat. I joined the Mustang Chorale at school again this year because singing in the choir is something I really like to do. I have an older brother named Seth who has autism and basically doesn't talk. I have a younger brother named Zane who has mild autism, who actually talks quite a bit. But that's okay because he talks about pretty interesting things. I have two cats named Sasha and Sophie, and we have another kitty named Roscoe who is a funny old coot. Just to keep it interesting, our zoo also has a mixed mix named Storm, a pit bull named Sierra, and Beretta, who is our silly and clumsy horse. I mean, Italian Mastiff. Some of the things I like to do are cooking, going four-wheeling in our Hummer, reading, swimming in our pool, drawing, the rare trip to Krispy Kreme as a treat, yum, and going to my granny's house. I, of course, go to school every day during the week and have my homework to do in the evenings. And since February, I now go to martial arts classes several nights a week with my brother Zane. We have already had our first belt promotion. For a short time each spring and later again for a short time each fall, my brothers and I get to participate in a special needs sport coordinated by the Plano Kiwanis, and we are called the Angels. This March we got to have fun in Angels baseball, and we are looking forward to Angels soccer again in the fall. Every now and again we get to see a movie in the theater of all special needs individuals and their families. And so far this year I have gotten to see The Adventures of Tintin, Beauty and the Beast, Journey to the Mysterious Island, and The Lorax. 2012 has been quite busy already. On top of our normal routines, we have done quite a bit outside of that too. Here goes. On top of the movies we enjoyed, we went to the Phineas and Ferb live show, we went to jump on trampolines at Jump Streets. I was one of the 14 people from 4th grade in our school spelling bee. My family went to the Dallas Museum of Art for Autism Awareness Family Day. I was invited back to the Kids for Kids United We Dance charity fundraiser for this year. We went to the DFW Family Expo where we played in bubble runners in a big pool, climbed around on a fire truck, met the Lorax, jumped in a bounce house, and walked through a petting zoo. I went to my first monster truck show at the Cowboy Stadium. We enjoyed pancakes at IHOP on Pancake Day for CMNH. And I went on a class field trip to the Plano Symphony where I was able to meet one of the viola players. I got to see my older brother's choir performance in short solos this spring, and he came to see me in my Mustang Chorale spring performance too. We saw a Stars hockey game at the American Airlines Center. We went to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Fort Worth where money is made. We went ice skating, we saw my cousin's championship hockey game, and I was invited to go see musician Hunter Hayes perform at the House of Blues, and even got to meet him in person before he went on stage. Mom won tickets to see the FC Dallas play in Frisco, so I got to see my first pro soccer game, which I loved. Over Easter weekend, we went to visit my family in Wichita Falls, where we walked in the Autism Awareness Fundraising Walk in support of my two brothers. Okay, now that I have told you a lot about me and what I do now it's time for a pop quiz. I hope you're all paying attention. Just kidding. Now I'll back up a bit and tell you what I went through medically to give you a better idea of how significant my ability to do all those things really is. In March of 2009, my mom noticed I started crossing one of my eyes. It wasn't all the time, and I had no other symptoms, so she just watched. In June of 2009, my other eye crossed for the first time. The next day, when my mom was talking to me, she said I was making some little humming sounds when she was speaking, so she asked me why I was doing that. I told her my throat must hurt, and she didn't like that answer. So she made an appointment for me with our family doctor. He gave me some basic neurologic tests in his office, and I passed all of them. Even though he couldn't see anything wrong, he was concerned by the vision and speech symptoms Mom described, so he ordered an MRI for me. While I was in the recovery room waking up from anesthesia, the radiologist herself came and motioned my mom out of the room. They stepped into another room where she told my mom that I had a brain tumor at the very center of my head and that I needed to go that day to check into Dallas Children's Medical Center. My type is called an astrocytoma, and this one was about the size of a bouncy ball, and it was growing up from the brain stem right in the middle of my head. After first going home to quickly pack and make some arrangements, I was finally in a room at about 10:30 that night. The next morning, my neurosurgeon, Dr. Sacco, ordered another brain MRI, so I got put to sleep twice in less than 24 hours. It was kind of a strange situation I was in. Here I was feeling fine, but confined to a hospital bed, being poked, prodded, and questioned, and not really sure what in the world was going on. People were coming by to visit, and lots of calls were coming in and going out. And I sat in bed patiently and smiled back at everyone who kept smiling at me. After several days in bed taking high doses of steroids, I had my first brain surgery. That one was just to create a drain to relieve pressure in my head to take a biopsy of my tumor. A child life specialist came to my room to talk to me. She told me about the brain tumor and had pictures of the operating room and different instruments that might be involved. She did a good job telling me these things without scaring me. After that first surgery, it was determined that my tumor was too large to be handled by chemotherapy only. So the decision was made to operate again, this time to take out as much as possible. I was sent home to rest and recover for over 6 weeks while waiting for that big surgery to roll around. My memories from that summer waiting for surgery are kind of hazy. I was so tired that I do remember well. I had to rest and remain calm, and I spent most of my time home in our house, which was kept cool and dark for my benefit. I had visitors, I rested, and I asked my mom questions when things popped up in my head that I wanted to know about. When I would ask about the surgery and what to expect, she would tell me. Finally, surgery day rolled around. Mom, Dad, and I rode to the hospital very early in the morning, and we had the movie Ratatouille playing in the car. I was still in my pajamas, and my new Pooh Bear was riding with me. We were all smiles in that room that morning. My IV was started, and at some point I was given happy juice so that I would be relaxed. Then it seemed like all of a sudden my bed was being wheeled out into the hall. That goodbye in the hallway was the one time I cried since my diagnosis. I have a zigzag scar from ear to ear so they could remove a big section of bone from my surgery, and now I have a few little plates and screws from where it was put back. The doctor only took my hair right along that incision instead of shaving it all off, so that was good. 8 hours after we said see you soon to my parents saw me in the recovery room, but I was not awake like I was expected to be. It actually took about another 21 hours before I started to stir at all, and overall it took several more days to really be awake. My neurosurgeon was able to remove 90 to 95% of the tumor. For a few weeks after that, I was very tired and slept a lot. Since mine is a slow-growing type of tumor, it was decided it would be best to hold off on chemotherapy or radiation treatments for the tumor that could not be safely removed from my brainstem. Instead, I go for hour-long MRIs several times a year. If there is ever any change, I will automatically begin chemo and radiation. I'm very proud to say I do those MRIs awake, so I stay as still as a statue in the machine that whole time. For months after my surgeries, I had short-term memory problems, but that is improved by a whole lot. I have muscle weakness on the right side of my body, so my head tilts to the right, and the vision in my right eye went from 20/30 to 23/20 before it was caught. Now I wear glasses, and for 4 hours a day, I wear a patch over my stronger eye. That forces the focusing muscles affected in my right eye to try harder. Patching is working some, but by the end of the year, most likely my vision will be pretty much so where it is, since everyone's vision system matures well before puberty. I have fine motor dexterity issues in my right hand, and since I am right-handed, it makes writing a bit challenging when you consider the vision issues with it. I still do tire easily and need more rest than my brothers. My overall growth began slowing down as the tumor got big enough to cause trouble, and since surgery, growth has been very slow. Along with my MRIs, I am seen several times a year by an ophthalmologist, endocrinologist, neuro-oncologist, and the pulmonologist I see for my allergies and reactive airway disease, though every once in a while there are other specialists I see. Back when everything started in the summer of 2009, I was nervous, but I tried to keep that to myself. I thought the doctors and nurses were nice, and I did feel safe in the hospital, but I was glad my mom stayed with me during the hospitalizations. I remember hoping nothing bad would happen to me and wondered how long I'd be in the hospital. I was told that I had a brain tumor, but I didn't really know what that meant at the time, since I was still just 6 years old. I was glad the doctors and my parents were telling me what was going on, but I think it was best that this happened while I was still so young. I was happy to see the family and friends who came by both at home and during my hospital stays. On a side note, I learned that I really like the cheese omelets, and when I found out I could order them for every meal, I pretty much did. After my second surgery, I was in ICU a bit longer than planned since I didn't wake up as I was expected. And when I was finally moved to a room on the neuro floor, I was surprised how hard it was to move, to walk, to talk, and even to eat. So I needed some help with all of that. I knew everything I was going through was for my own good. But I have to say that I really disliked doing my breathing therapy, but the other occupational and physical therapies were okay. It seems that before I knew it, it was time to go home. Even though I was less than 3 weeks out from that surgery, I was allowed to start second grade on time with everyone else. But in the beginning, I still did have to rest a lot, even at school. I had the opportunity to come here to the hospital in December of 2009 for the annual radiothon to raise money for Children's Miracle Network. And after that, I have been asked to speak to continue to inspire others to help too. Here I am, a real boy, a real patient, a patient with a story to share that helps me show those who hear me who they are helping. Instead of a nameless child in need of a medical crisis, maybe you will think of me when you are working so hard on your projects to raise money of Children's Miracle Network. I am that patient you help along with the others who need it so much. I have had to go through a lot, but there are so many children going through so much than I ever did. And it is so important that those kids can get the help that they really need. I told you all that stuff about me in the beginning to show you that I am a boy living a boy's life, going to school, karate, and just doing all that I can do to continue to enjoy life. I can do all that because of the excellent care I have been given here at the hospital when I needed it most. I'm a brain tumor patient, yes, but that is not what I want people to think of me as being. I'm a regular boy living my life to the fullest, but I am also a voice for those kids who need it. Parents should be focused on their kids who are in the hospital, not worrying at that moment where the money is going to come from to pay the bills if they don't have health insurance. And not every family is as lucky as mine on that. The hospitals need money to keep their doors open to treat those kids since no one is turned away. And that is where we all come in. If telling my story makes that happen, then I'll tell it to everyone who will listen. Something my mom remembers very clearly is from the morning I got to go home after the big surgery. I had been wheeled down into the lobby in a little red wagon to wait for my dad to bring the car around. I was laying there watching kids come in with their parents, and I said to my mom, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor in a hospital to help kids like me. I realized I don't have to wait until I grow up to help those kids. That is something I can do now. And I'm fortunate to have had the chance to do that here with you today. Thank you for all that you do for Children's Miracle Network, and keep up the wonderful work.
Sam, will you come up here for just 1 minute?
Hello, Sam. On behalf of Walmart, we got you a shirt here. Put the Walmart logo on it. We want you to wear this proud. Okay? Thank you, Sam.
That's a really tough act to follow. My name is Angela Bynum, and I work for Children's Miracle Network for Children's Medical Center. And again, we welcome y'all and thank y'all for coming today. There was a theme to this lunch. I knew that Sim was going to be speaking, and we forget about what these kids go through and how hard it is and how it's a life changer in their family, with their parents, with their siblings, at school. And so I wanted y'all to come in here today, and I wanted you to feel like a kid. I wanted you to feel like you could color on the paper, which you can't. There's crayons everywhere. There's little toys that y'all are more than welcome to take with you. But I just wanted y'all to know that being able to be free and being able to be childlike is taken away from so many kids. And I want to tell y'all how Children's Medical Center helps those that do have these life changes. As I just said, Children's Medical Center is your local Children's Miracle Network hospital. There's 5 statistics I want everybody to remember this year. Every year y'all come in here and we bow y'all down with 50,000 things about the hospital, but these to me are the most important. First and foremost, we're a non-profit hospital, and there's so many people that don't realize that. Number 2, we treat over 50 specialties, from brain tumors to broken arms to asthma, which is a huge, huge problem in the state of Texas.